evening. We are the Newfane Selectboard having a regular meeting at this time. Excuse me. And it is Monday, August 20th, 6 p.m. and we welcome everybody. This is Mike Fitzpatrick, Chris Williams, Shelley Huber, Gary Delius, Shannon Meckel, Administrative Assistant. I'm Marion Dowling. Thank you for coming. Okay, the first thing is we're calling this to order, which we just did. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda?
I have one.
Yes.
Michael Mayer is here as a scheduled member of the public. He has to leave by 6:30, so if we could rearrange the agenda to allow him to speak.
Okay. So can somebody make a motion? We could do this under scheduled members of the public right before Southern Vermont. Is that okay? Can somebody make a motion to have Michael?
I'll make a motion to move it up.
Second.
Okay, great. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Okay. Oh, wait a minute, Shannon.
Yes.
That wouldn't work. 6:45. I think we need to do it earlier because you have to leave by 6:30. Yes.
I think if we put him under unscheduled, we're going to be fine because I don't believe it's going to take us until.
You sure?
6:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Huh? Oh, okay. Okay, minutes of August 6th, regular meeting. Does anybody make a motion to accept the minutes of August 6th?
Motion to accept the minutes, August 6th.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, any? No discussion. So, all in favor for accepting the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes of August 6th are passed. Thank you. Road business, road foreman and road commissioners report. Jay, please.
Daniels Construction is awaiting the utilities to finish moving their wires off that pole next to the River Road Bridge so they can finish with the guardrail, and they're going to repave the aprons. I believe the power company is finished or close to it. Cable company said they'd come and I called them, and now we're just going to be waiting for the telephone company. We've had about 17 inches, well, we've had over 17 inches of rain since July 16th. So we've been spending most of our time cleaning culverts, fixing ditches, and removing fallen trees. It looks like better weather in the forecast, so we're going to be grading roads again. The Adams Brook project was completed mid-July, just before the heavy rain started. The covered bridge is closed today and tomorrow from 8 to 4 for the repairs to the cement at the far end. The project at Richard Dahl's house on South Wards Road will be starting soon, and traffic will be down to one lane for a few days, and they're supposed to have flaggers on site. Roadside mowing is supposed to begin tomorrow. He's still waiting his regular tractor to come back from the repair shop, but he's got another tractor. The new dump truck is scheduled for the chassis to be delivered near the end of September, and will then have to go to the body company. I have some more road name signs ordered so we can continue to upgrade them to the new standards. We're kind of doing more on Dover Road where people are driving a little faster so they can see the road names. And then I've attached some more information about the excavator to this report for your perusal.
You want to read that,
Sure. Yeah.
please?
So the excavator that we proposed has a municipal discount of $92,000. So when I had called on a used machine that was, I believe, 3 years old, there's no municipal discount on a used machine, so the price wasn't much cheaper than the new machine. And then if you do the lease, at least temporarily, it would cost the taxpayer with a property value of $150,000, $2.40 a year, or a total of $24 for the 10 years to own this. And with a property value of $250,000, it would be $4 a year. When the town gets reimbursed for the flood damage, at that time you could decide whether to convert it to a loan to reduce the cost even further. There's still one machine left in one of their yards at the bid price, and after that, there's a price increase of approximately $5,000. If we were to rent a machine for the summer, the cost of rent and trucking is very close to the cost of the lease. So, and you wouldn't own it, you just have that expense. So, that was it.
Thank you. Chris?
I make a motion to buy it. The taxpayers have already authorized the money.
Any second?
I'll second it, we can discuss it, yeah.
Okay, anybody want to discuss the motion, please?
Do we have a price on what it actually costs to buy it, Jay? Outright?
Shannon has the.
We still would have to go to bid, right?
That was
So you're saying the 92,000 is cheaper than what they come in for the price of bid on? So it's 92,000 less on the bid
That's what the
price?
discount is off of the regular price of
Yeah, but the price that we got that night on a bid,
right.
so now we're taking 92,000
No,
off
that's
that?
including the $92,000 discount.
Because I mean, it still was almost 300 grand, right? 250?
Two something with the multi-head.
260.
So the machine is roughly 200, I believe. And the, then you've got the mulching head.
I think one important thing is, item number 3, because of the tariffs, this is gonna go up $5,000 once the unit that they have is sold. So, we need to make a decision one way or the other, or we're gonna be paying $5,000.
And this new machine has warranty,
Yeah.
not like a second-hand machine.
Well, the whole thing is, all we did is we put in 32,000 to rent. I mean, not to buy it.
No, that was the lease payment that we put in.
We put in 32,000 to rent it's for lease and an excavator.
We did a lease, right, and that's what this.
For the
figure
I
year.
mean, we didn't tell the taxpayer we were gonna spend 300 and some thousand on a machine.
Well, we would essentially be leasing it to start.
Yeah, for
correct?
10 years, and it figured out to $320,000. It's a 10-year lease at $32,000 a year. It figured out to $320,000. So that's what I said, that's why I said when we said it, to bid it out, there was other companies who wanted to bid on them too.
Well, yeah,
Well, why didn't they bid it? It was put out.
the other part is that it can convert into a loan.
Huh?
The lease can convert into a loan, correct?
Or we could pay it outright.
You're not tied into anything. You do it a year at a time, and then if you want to convert it to a conventional loan after a year when you get reimbursed, you can.
So we could put it into the capital budget this year to convert the lease, because we've already set the 32,000 aside. We put in the budget this year to convert it to a purchase as a capital item.
I don't know. So, I just think it's a lot of money for that thing, you know. I mean, when we first started talking about this whole thing, we started talking about it years ago when Todd was in here. We were looking at used ones, because you can pick up used ones for anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000, goddamn nice machines. And then he was gonna put a mulching head on it for another 20, 30,000, 35, whatever they are. And, because I mean, these machines don't get beat like a track excavator. And then it jumped from that to this brand new stuff. And now you're looking at, like I said, when we first come in, the 32,000, when they put that in the budget, that's for a 10-year lease. That's 320 grand. I think that's ridiculous for a machine that size. But
I think the reason that we looked at,
I mean, what I'd almost suggest right at this point, I'd rent one of these damn things for a month. And try it and see if it goes. What's going to cost you, $6,000, $8,000 to rent it for a month? See how it works out. Might not want one that big.
Well, you gotta have something good size with a mulching head on it. One reason we want something big, so it has the reach, so it can reach over the guide rails and clean up some of this mess that hasn't been cut since Fred left the town umpteen years ago.
Oh, I know that. I mean, I was the one that suggested putting a mulching head on the damn thing. But I'm just saying, I mean, why don't you rent it for a month and see if it's even worth it?
would that still protect us on item number 3? If we rented it for a month and then converted that?
I don't know, it also depends if they have one that's rent, that we can rent. They gave us one last year to try,
Yeah.
and We had that for a couple of weeks, I believe. And it worked quite well. There's a learning curve getting used to it, but once we get used to it, it seems to work pretty well. But I don't think we can get one with the mulching head to try. It would just be the machine. We can rent one of those.
For all
Excuse me.
purposes.
I'm sorry, I would like to just say that I would like to give no more than 5 minutes more to this discussion. If we don't come to a conclusion, I would like to have Michael Mayer speak because he has to leave by 6:30, and then we could continue the conversation after that. Because I didn't know that we would have it. So, I mean, if you want to, if there's more discussion, or if anybody wants to make a motion to vote on it now, or we can talk about it after Michael Mayer.
I
Because we
mean,
promised that he could leave on time.
I made the motion to buy it.
Okay. Is there a,
There's a
you
motion
made a
that-
second
There's a
to-
second, so we're under discussion now.
right. So any further discussion right now?
The only thing
Mike?
I've got to say is, if we don't do it, the prices are gonna go up. There's one machine left, hopefully it will still be there.
That's what they all tell you.
Well, this is,
I went around the other day to different dealers from Milford, Mass, to Caterpillars, to the John Deere Bragg, every goddamn one of them still got much new equipment sitting in their dooryard.
yeah.
I can't even imagine how they'd ever think they'd sell it out. And they all tell you it's the last one. Every time I go buy something, that's the last one. I gotta come in tomorrow and buy it, you know? So, I mean, I don't know, I just think, I mean, that was the $92,000 discount. You didn't say that when they bid on it. They didn't tell us it was a $92,000 difference.
We've always got a municipal discount from Caterpillar. They
But
always.
that don't mean it's,
But the-
I mean, I could argue with you all day about it. So
I think it was a lease that we were looking at. Maybe it wouldn't have applied if it was a lease.
No, it's still, the lease does, it just doesn't apply to a used machine.
Okay, but
Any-
with a lease, it would apply.
Yeah, we got it, on that price, it was based on their discount was already included.
So if we went ahead with either a rent or a lease, we could at any time convert that.
Yeah. And you don't have to do it again another year. I mean, if you do it for a year and you decide not to renew it, that's fine too. You've made your lease payment
Yeah.
and that's it.
How would you feel about that?
So by the end of the year, if they don't want it, they send it back, is what you're saying?
Or convert it.
I mean, I think it should have gone in front of the taxpayers about buying it. I mean, everybody I've talked to so far, a lot of taxpayers don't think we ought to be buying a brand new machine. I think it's ridiculous where the taxes keep going up. But I mean, like I said, $200,000, $300,000, a lot of money. But if we could lease it for the month or two, whatever it is, and then decide.
But they won't put a mulching head on it, Mike.
They will if they want to rent it, want to sell it, we're going to have to try it, right?
I think they would put a mulching head on it if we committed to a lease.
Yeah.
And we try it for
And
the
then
2
you,
months and
then
then
it
we go
wouldn't be
to the sale.
converted to a loan?
It could be either say as a lease or converted to a full purchase.
How long is the lease?
Sure.
1 year. And that's something that can be used during the winter, or?
The mulching head you could use right up until it gets real slippery. Continue to cut brush.
But the
with.
machine itself,
Right.
you would be using during the winter too?
Hopefully not in the very deep part of the winter, but up till weather gets real bad, we would. Once you're done with ditching in the fall, you can cut brush for the next month or so after that.
I'd like to know if we are ready to take a vote on it, that's great. If not, can we hold off and let Michael Mayer speak and then we can continue?
I make a motion that we hold on the
Okay,
conversation.
okay. Is there a second to that?
What's that?
That Michael Mayer has to leave by 6:30, and we had said that we would get him on the agenda earlier. And I didn't realize that we were having a lengthy issue come up. So I'm just asking, in order to let Michael Mayer speak, can we hold off if we're not ready to vote this minute? And as soon as Michael Mayer speaks and leaves, we can go back to this.
So the motion would be to table
Table
until a
it.
time certain. That would be following Mr. Mayor's
Yes.
presentation.
Okay.
You're looking
Is that
for a
okay?
second?
A second,
Second.
okay. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of putting this off for a few minutes, 15 minutes the most, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, so we are going to hold off and finish our conversation and see if we're going to vote on something. Michael, I'm going to give you the floor right now. So, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and members of the board. I don't know whether you had items you wanted to share with me or whether this is just my asking questions and providing updates to you. Shannon, were there any items that you wanted to say with reference to your meeting with the town attorney, or should I just jump in from my perspective?
Sure, because I don't think everybody on the board got to hear. So I met Thursday with Rich Carroll. He didn't really have concerns with the select board's portion of it. Basically, the statute says the select board will approve the cemetery association acquiring the land for such purpose. But without a DRB decision, the select board can't do that. And I don't believe that.
DRB has not received any correspondence from Rich yet, so that report is still outstanding, and they're still within their time frame.
Right, so without, he has no concerns about the select board's portion of it, but without a DRB decision, the select
Okay.
board should not be acting.
So then, so we have to wait for the DRB decision before we can move forward. So I have a suggestion to table this discussion until we've heard about DRB decision.
And
And
nothing really you can do. It's
right, exactly. Any second on that?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion about that? Michael, do you understand?
Yeah, I would just like to say a little bit more of what we've done with our end, and I'd like to ask Gary one or two questions, because I've asked a couple times, I've emailed David Cotton just to find out what the update is. Kip Tewksbury is with us this
Excuse me,
evening.
1 second.
This is to do with the DRB.
Right.
This is the select board, so it has
Right.
nothing to do with Gary with this now.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
on the DRB. It has nothing to do with the select board.
And the
At
DRB,
this point.
Yeah,
the DRB is bound by executive
right.
session.
The DRB, just like the select board, Gary cannot represent the whole DRB. The same way as none of us could represent select board unless we're in a group. So I think the DRB, are they meeting this week or tomorrow?
We're waiting until we hear from Rich.
Oh,
We meet on Thursday on another matter. I
Okay,
suspect that this will also be discussed in that
Okay.
agenda, but I can't say that, I don't control that agenda.
So
Well, even that
therefore-
information is very helpful for me. Just, Kip's here, Kip's wife has died. He's trying to figure out day by day what he needs to do.
okay, but the thing is, as we spoke about at our last meeting, I made it clear that unfortunately, the select board has no authority to make any decisions until we find out what the DRB is doing. And then whatever the DRB says, if it's appropriate for the select board to continue on this issue, we will. If the DRB decides something and the select board has no more authority, we will let you know either way, but none of us know right now. We don't know what's happening until the DRB meets.
That's right.
So therefore, I'm making a motion to table the discussion right now.
So you want to hear no more from me as to where we are on our side?
Well, right now, we can't do anything.
Right.
Right, but I'm just wondering whether by way of information to take 2 minutes for me to do that, whether that would be useful.
No,
The
I'm
DRB
sorry.
record is closed at this point, so, I mean, it's under their deliberations, we pay no part in that. So,
Kim, may I ask one more question? I understand that since Council Rich Carroll has said that because the select board, by his review, he would have no problem with the select board moving forward with the recommendation of the DRB, then would it be possible for the select board to say, that's subject to the DRB approval.
No.
You're
No.
just not going to
This
consider
is
it.
it.
They
We can't do anything
His
until we hear from
recommendation
the
was to
DRB.
table.
Yes.
I'm
His
sorry.
recommendation is what?
Was to table until the DRB has made a decision.
Yes,
I see.
so that's the motion, is,
Yep, that's
yes,
correct.
okay.
I
So
guess
we've
the
been,
one other thing, I had a question about that. We've postponed our meeting for next month. What if they come in with a decision, are we gonna have a special meeting so he can take care of the burial of his wife or something on this? And if it is okay,
yes,
and I don't think they should have to wait another month for it.
okay, well, as soon as we hear from DRB, we don't know what they're going to say. And if a special meeting is needed, I think that's a good idea. But
Thank you
right
so
now,
much.
we don't know anything, I'm sorry.
That's what I was hoping to
Yeah.
hear. So that at least, thank you for raising that concern, because that was the concern that people on our side have had. So thank you for clarifying and making that point.
So, I'd like to have a vote. All those in favor of tabling the discussion until we hear from the DRB, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, so the ayes have it, so we cannot discuss anything anymore
Thank you.
until we hear from the DRB.
Thank you.
And you certainly will be notified.
I appreciate your consideration.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
So thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, I think we're back to opening the discussion about the excavator. Anybody have anything else to say?
So we're talking about renting, leasing, or buying outright.
And we've only gotten approval for a lease
For,
Lease payment.
payment
yeah, for $32,000.
for $32,000.
But there's no doubt, just listening to the news, that eventually somebody's gonna have to pay for the tariff on this machine. Because if the seal didn't come from here, then
Well,
even if it did, the price is gonna go
what
up.
I'm just wondering about is a $92,000 discount.
Yep,
And with the price right now of that machine is how much, Shannon, on the bid? That bid is 250-some thousand, right?
Right. Or you
That-
could lease it for 10 years.
So that was $340-some thousand, just give it the math a little bit, you know?
Yep.
We could have leased it for 10 years at $320,000, so you're telling me that machine was $340,000 before the discount? That don't even sound right. Usually a lease, when you're leasing something like that over a period of time, your lease is higher than what the machine would be. I mean, what's the original price? And if they're gonna knock 92,000 out, that's gonna bring us down around 200 grand for this machine?
No, the 92,000 was before.
Right.
They were
Was
counting the 92,000.
in that
So that's what I'm saying, so what was that price on that bid?
They
You
didn't-
can't tell me
they
that
just-
machine was $340,000
No.
before
They
that, that's
just-
just,
they
I don't
just
see where
said
they give us a
it's-
$92,000 discount, is what I'm saying.
Right. I see what you're saying.
So now are they gonna give us that on top of this, or what?
No, that was what he said, list price, the difference between list price and what the machine is on this bid.
You're asking for the list price, is that correct?
Yeah, and I don't believe that machine's no $340,000 machine. Ain't no way that thing costs $340,000.
Well, you got,
Again, so they're telling us to give us 92,000, I don't see it.
you gotta take off the mower, so that brings it down to what,
30-some thousand for the mower.
so 200 or 210 or whatever. The
310.
machine lists for 299 or whatever.
And it's 310 if you take 30, 35 off, it's 305. But even so, then you're gonna drop the 92,000 off from that. So we should be down around 200,000 instead of 250.
Without the mower.
Yeah.
Right, then you add the mower onto it.
So it still should only be about 240. I mean, I'd like to see the real paperwork on the thing. They're telling us they give us, I want to see where the 92, I think that's a lot of goddamn money, 300,000 for a machine that size. Even with the mower.
yep.
I mean, if you want to lease it for, they want to do a lease, make sure they let them know the lease is for a year. If we don't want it, we're sending it back, see if it's going to lease it.
That's it, you're not obligated, because that's,
Are we obligated, or that's what I say, is it, or is it that?
no,
No.
the way the towns work is since they never know from year to year whether you get budgeted the money, that lease it's just like if you made a rental payment. At the end of the year, you can decide whether you're doing it again or not.
Can we get a clarification that
So,
how the money stacks up with the discounts, et cetera, so know exactly what the number is that we're dealing with?
so
She's got.
if it had been on the agenda specifically, I would have had it ready, but it wasn't.
It's
No, it's-
okay.
Thank you.
That's why we put stuff on the agenda. But anyway, yes.
So 254 is the discounted list.
So that's what I'm saying, they're saying that machine is 300 and some thousand.
It says
346.
request a 10-year annual upfront lease purchase payment. So it looks like you're bound to 10 years.
So it's at the 32,000.
Yeah, 50.
No, he said it's just a, because that's why towns go for it, is if you don't get approved, the year just goes back.
Well, I think we ought to have them confirm that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's written in there.
And I'd like to see the real list price of the machine
Sticker price.
before the thing. I mean, I might even call them tomorrow and tell them I want to buy one and see how much they're going to sell me one for.
You buy a lot of equipment. They
Here you
do.
go.
Well, they get, supposedly to get the towns all these big discounts, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't believe it, I guarantee it ain't gonna be no 300 and some $1,000.
Well, I guess the other question is, if you think we can get a used one, that we need to have somebody looking for a used one. Right?
The concern is the warranties.
It's the one.
Warranties.
Yeah.
This
And
machine's
this
gonna
is
have to
coming.
be repaired. That's the concern, is that you've got a full package of warranties to protect our purchase.
I also think that if they have it for a year lease, that they can at least try it out and see if they can run it and if it works and makes sense. And then we can look at the option of purchasing something that's either new or used from there. Because you don't have one now, you've never had one, correct?
Correct.
So
That's what I said, I don't have a
instead of
problem.
all in.
I don't have no problem spending the 32,000 on the rent. But that's what we asked for. We didn't ask to buy a machine, we were gonna rent a rig.
Right.
And, I don't have no problem doing that, as long as they know after the year, we wanna send it back. We're
Right.
not stuck to this 10-year lease.
So I make a motion that Jay confirms that it's a year, it could be 1 year lease with no obligation beyond that. And bring that back to us.
I would think it'd be better to approve it, because we want to get it as quickly as possible to get using it this fall.
Yeah,
So I would approve it subject to that or something, so that we can move ahead instead of waiting till the 1st of September.
okay.
And then, so we'll do the 32,000, that would get us into next September, we'd still have a machine. And then we can decide what we're doing, even budget time or whatever.
Does that sound good? Because I'll make a motion for
Yeah.
that. I'll make a motion that Jay can go ahead and make the lease.
We've already
already
got
got
a
a motion.
motion on the floor for the purchase.
To purchase
that first.
So now
You
you
made a
have to,
motion.
have to vote on
You have
purchase.
to
and then-
amend the motion.
Okay.
You could vote to amend the motion.
Okay, so I vote to amend the motion for purchasing.
That's the motion right now, it's supposed to purchase the unit outright. That's seconded.
Okay.
Chris
We're in
could
discussion
withdraw
now.
it.
Huh?
Chris could withdraw his motion.
I'll withdraw it.
Okay.
And I'll withdraw my second. Okay, now we have a new discussion. Now you're looking for a new motion.
A new motion. Who would like to make a motion?
Shelley was
Shelley.
making.
Shelley.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we give Jay the authority to go ahead and to lease the piece of equipment with the attachment for 1 year within our budget
$32,000, right?
for 32,000.
Contingent on it being no
Contingent,
obligation.
yeah.
Can the attachment also be leased? Or do we have
Yeah,
to
'cause
buy
they
it?
would, they would buy it and lease it to us. It goes-
So they'll bundle the whole thing? That means they take over the maintenance for the whole thing?
They take over, I mean, we'd be under warranty and stuff, but maintenance, I believe, we would take care of, changing oil, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, but any,
Warranty, right?
Any warranty stuff they cover, yeah.
because those things have a lot of moving parts.
Well, they won't cover the knives and
No.
stuff.
They're
Yeah,
not gonna cover a lot on the warranty.
No.
but I mean, yeah, I couldn't expect them to cover the
Just if
knives.
it's sheared off or something, if it was a manufacturer's defect.
Yes.
Any other discussion?
Did you get a second?
Did you have a
Yeah, I
second?
said,
Okay.
Any further discussion about the motion of leasing it for 1 year with the contingency that we could return it if we don't like it? Is that correct?
I'd like to amend that.
Okay.
Lease it for 1 year with the option to buy.
Okay. You want to just remake your motion to include that?
Okay, so I make a motion that we add to my motion that we have the option to purchase at the end of 1 year.
Okay. So would you, your second still carry? Okay.
Okay.
Now we're ready.
Any discussion? Any further discussion? Okay.
I think I'd still want to see the real numbers. I don't see where they'd give us a $92,000 discount.
I think it'd be worth making that phone call.
Well, I think that should come with this lease.
Yeah.
The option to buy is gonna be a certain amount of money. I wanna see where that 92,000 are. I don't see if they give it to us.
I'll call them and ask them if they want to buy one.
I'm a little old lady and I need something to
No,
drive
I
to
have a
church.
landscape company, so.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
So that would mean that what Mike is saying is that before we take a vote to go ahead and
Well, in other words,
Forward
whatever
with
this
this?
is, what it comes out to, that 32,000 is gonna come off that price. So if we rent that thing for $32,000, 100% of that goes toward the purchase price.
Right.
So they should, so if we decide next year to buy it,
right,
or the end of this year, after they use it by thing for our budget, we'll put it in the budget to buy that thing for, if it's 250 some thousand, we're gonna put it in the budget, we're gonna borrow $220,000 from the town taxpayers to raise to buy the machine.
Do I
right,
have to amend my motion?
yeah.
Okay.
No,
Are we
I
ready?
don't think yours will require an amendment to the motion.
Oh.
Because he's just asking for details. It's all part of our due diligence.
Yeah,
Jay can't call it up and say, what's on this price? And they'll say, well, we gave you it. We did. But
I mean, I
none of
just
us
don't
cut.
see that. I mean, do you, Christopher? You think that thing's worth $300,000, really?
No,
Yeah, I can't
I
see
know,
it
I
on
don't,
that
but
size.
I will say, from what I know, you lease that for a year, then you'll get a very good price on buying that same machine.
Well, like I said, they should have it that 100% of that rental is going toward that machine, so if we decide to buy it, we're buying it at the $220 price.
Mhm.
Cat knows
Yeah, well, they all do, you know, I mean, every time you rent one, they take it right off the thing of the price, you know?
Any further discussion? Okay, are we ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor of going ahead and leasing the truck for 1 year? I'm sorry, what am I saying? Excavator.
Excavator.
Please, excavator, they're all tractor, whatever.
Rental
Excuse me,
purchase.
people at home, I'm a little confused. Okay, excavator. Oh my God. Okay. Would you like to say it?
Yeah. Jay, to lease the excavator with the attachment for 1 year. As part of our due diligence, we also want to do our own research and find out what the true list price of this machine is. That's where we are.
Okay. So all those in favor?
We're renting it with an option to purchase it,
Right.
Yes.
Option to buy.
with the $32,000 coming off the
Option to
purchase
buy.
price.
Yeah. Okay.
100% of the rental going towards the payment of the machine.
Yes. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the ayes have it. And so we're going to move forward to the excavator, to the excavator. Thank you very much. Thank you everybody for expressing your thoughts and opinions. And we're moving along.
And we'll have better roads because of it.
Yes.
Well, they will work good from one side of the road. The mowers do work good for that.
Okay.
Well, with the way the knotweed is growing, taking over everything,
Okay.
and it's great.
All winter long.
Okay, we are up to administrative assistance report, please, Shannon.
Yes. Hearing notices will go out to all petitioners, abutting landowners, lien holders, mortgage holders on the Daniels Hill Road hearing. It will also be published in the newspaper, and I spoke with BCTV, and they will be televising the hearing portion of it. So,
When is that happening?
September 24th.
Yeah.
Site visit at 4 and hearing at 6.
Jack, yeah.
Okay,
Reconciliation of bank statements. Angela Sanborn has graciously agreed to do the monthly reconciliations of the bank statements. I just need a motion by the board to appoint her. That will satisfy the auditor's concerns about not having an outside person doing reconciliations. They were here today and reminded us again. And so we are happy to at least be able to tell them we had a name.
So I make a motion that Angela Sanborn would be hired to do the reconciliation, monthly reconciliation.
any
Second that.
second? Okay. Any discussion on that?
She really lives right up the street,
Right,
should be convenient.
any further discussion? All those in favor of hiring Angela Sanborn, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? Okay. Angela Sanborn will do the monthly reconciliations. Thank you very much, Shannon.
On the EWP, I'm continuing to get the paperwork together for that project. The homeowners received their paperwork and had it reviewed by their attorney. They should be signing it this week. Once that's done, I can send everything USDA and we can start on the bidding phase.
Can I ask who this is and where it's located?
Yeah, so it's on Dover Road. It's the Air EYRE property.
The what?
EYRE property for Dover Road.
So this was affected by water,
That last October storm.
October?
Yep, and so this is a project, USDA funds it to basically stabilize the bank
Yeah.
only to the extent that it will protect their building. So,
And can I ask another question? Does the homeowner start that process or,
no, the town has to sponsor the program.
so they identify areas then, the town does?
Yep.
And then notifies the
Sometimes
homeowner?
USDA will actually find the properties themselves and contact the town. But in this case, it was the town. There were originally 3 that we looked at, only one was eligible.
Okay.
And then on FEMA, I received word last week that the town of Newfane will be receiving the remaining $310,715.71 for Tropical Irene damages. So the town should receive the funds within the next few weeks.
So Jay, this is part of where your funding could come from?
This is Irene too, that's, so, we don't even know how long it'll take for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Irene money is actually gonna have to come in to pay for the loans we have out on the next
Yes.
FEMA. So it's not
So we're ready
money.
for this.
So the next FEMA meeting,
October 2017, we had another flood, and we had FEMA work that we're doing. Well, the work is all done, now we just have to wait for reimbursements.
Yeah, but didn't you say something about the paperwork that's gonna get lost up there or something?
That was Irene,
I mean,
yeah.
For this one?
for Irene money.
Yeah,
Now
so
that
this
money's
has just been
trickling.
sitting in limbo for a while.
It has been sitting in limbo for 7 years.
how much more has to come in from Irene?
That 310,000.
Would be the end of it.
Yep, that will end Irene.
That closes.
Yep,
You're closed out.
yeah,
Which is good.
great. But that money that comes in is gonna have to pay the loan for that October 2017 storm.
And was that the one that we're talking about from the Dover? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there
But
were
that
other
money won't be
areas.
used for none of that.
No, the town's not gonna have to pay anything for the EWP project.
Oh, okay.
So, these are roads that were damaged in that October storm.
Meaning just roadways versus a embankment.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this was
The
all,
roadways would be on our our budget repairs. Yeah.
So, I mean, there is FEMA money and there's federal highway money that will reimburse us a portion of it. But like we had to wait for Irene 7 years, we don't know how long this one will take, hopefully not 7 years.
Good God.
But the Irene money is gonna have to pay that loan for the next storm until we get reimbursed. It's not real money.
It's like robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Maybe they just send this new bill to the same person that found this one and been sitting there for 7 years.
Yeah, I hope it's somebody new.
You know, say, well, you can look at, here's another one, right behind it.
Don't give it to that guy.
Yeah, don't hand it back there, and that seems wild.
On the more recent storm, the culvert projects, so they divided all of our roads into 2 projects, which were roads with culverts replaced and roads that were just road damage. So the culvert projects have been obligated. So basically that means they've approved payment. Now we'll see how long it takes for the payment to come. But I would suspect when that happens, it's not going to be 7 years. The next 2 projects are the direct administrative costs. So they reimburse the town for my time in working on the projects. That's pending final review, and the other roadways are pending final review. That should take about a month, and then they'll obligate those.
So you're saying the other roads would be with culverts?
So they broke up all our roads into just 2 projects. One, all the roadways who had culverts replaced, and then all the other roads were either banks that had been stabilized or just road damage
Okay.
in general.
Thank you, Shannon.
And one more question, that was from October 2017? Okay.
The good thing about using that money to pay off that other loan, if we need it again, we can just go grab it.
Exactly. Yeah, we need it.
That takes that money off.
I mean, you can use it for anything if you want it, perhaps more.
Okay.
And then I just had one more thing.
Yes.
I didn't realize the excavator was going to be discussed at length, and Jen Stanfield has to leave at 7. So if you could again move the agenda to let her speak,
Sure.
I would greatly appreciate that.
Okay. Okay. So, anybody make a motion, please, to accept Shannon's report?
I also don't think, did we make a motion to accept the road foreman's report? I don't think we did.
No, I don't think
Oh, we did
So let's
not?
combine those into
Thank you.
motions to accept the road foreman's report and the administrative assistant's report.
Excellent.
Second.
Any second? Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, road commissioner and administrative assistance reports have been accepted, and we move along to Jen.
And I'm looking for a traffic calming.
Yes,
That's really,
and
so,
thank you for
Yes.
being patient.
oh, well, I thank you, Shannon, for speaking up for me. I appreciate it. So the liaison group met again. So that's Charles Bergman, Bud, and me. So the kind of the Dover Road Traffic Calming Concern Group that you suggested we liaison to the select board.
Right.
So we met last Friday with the planning commission, with the idea, after this last meeting, we talked about how important it is to collaborate with them, with their efforts. And a couple things came up. One is they are going to sponsor an October 14th potluck at the Williamsville Hall to talk about walkability and traffic calming, and to try to make it very solution oriented. I mentioned last time that Bud talked a lot about an architectural long-term approach. What are the things that could be done over a period of time that relate to the Planning Commission's village improvement efforts that will get people to slow down because they see things happening in the village. So those are the long-term view. And then there are some short-term kind of asks for each village. Jay already answered one of them for Brookside and Newfane, just wondering when the portable speed sign would be down our end, because we haven't seen it yet down in Brookside. He already asked me about location, so that sounds like it's in the works. The other thing is that the folks in Williamsville are curious about the possibility of two stop signs, one on Timpson Hill, because of the way people are rounding that corner. and there seems to be a natural stop in front of the eatery in Timpson Hill. This is what I was asked to ask you. And then a stop in front of the post office. This idea that stop signs might slow people down in ways. So that was something that the Williamsville folks asked me to ask you to consider. I don't know about stop signs. Those are the two things I was supposed to
Jen,
ask.
excuse me, you said Timpson Hill, and where was the other one? By the eatery?
By the post office. The Timpson Hill and the eatery same spot.
Okay. And the post
And the
office.
post office.
Okay, thank you.
Isn't there a stop sign near Timpson Hill already?
I think she means on Dover Road at Timpson Hill.
Yes. Yeah,
Where-
that's
Like them.
The Williamsville post office, you can't put a stop sign there. It's enough cluster now. You get a stop sign there, you're gonna have some accidents. That's not a place for a stop sign.
That would have to go to the state anyway, wouldn't it? You need stop signs? It would have to go to
No,
We
the
would
no.
have to amend our traffic ordinance, and we'd have to post it in a hearing.
On that one, yes.
What about Shannon, because that's a federally connected highway, with
We
the state
need
have
to at
any?
least check with them.
Yeah.
Well, a stop sign going towards the covered bridge, or would they have to be both
I think,
ways?
both directions.
Right?
Well, what they actually said, though, they wanted it to post office, they wanted one at post office, and there's already one at Baker Brook. They wanted a three-way stop like at that intersection.
And I asked her for clarification, and then I just.
I mean, Timpson Hill, I can't understand that. I can't see putting one in front of the store, stopping the traffic on Dover Road, right at Timpson Hill, in front of the eatery. That's what you're saying they're looking on to do. I mean, there's already should be a stop sign already at Timpson Hill and Dover Road. But they're looking to get one put on Dover Road to stop it before you get to Timpson Hill. It sounds like.
That's my understanding.
No,
I couldn't really see that with
no, either one.
What about crosswalks?
Well, that's what I
To
said
be
one time. I
painting-
mean,
painting
there used to be
them up.
sidewalks up through there. I mean, maybe if they fix the sidewalks so the people aren't walking in the road.
And those are the discussions that this group's having, you know, of wanting us as a community to look into those. Because there used to be sidewalks, would crosswalks, would stop signs slow people down as they go.
Well, driving up through Route 30 and through Jamaica, they've done a lot of work on their sidewalks in their town, and they have the same situation of Route 30 going right through Jamaica. And it's really starting to look like a town. And, you know, I often will cut right down, you know, to, 30 that you have to go through Jamaica. Whereas before, it looked like it was nothing. So, I mean, it does make a difference to have those sidewalks and curbing and everything. I know it's expensive, but, you know, I would, if we were going to do that, I would really want to see it here on Route 30 first. You know, cost-wise, you know.
Well, see, and I think that's a concern for people on our side is that there's a lot of attention to what happens on Route 30, but.
Well, nothing's happening over here.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening over there.
Well, we did put in a request for crosswalks at the, common.
Right.
And we got approval, yeah, I thought we got approval for one.
They eventually said yes to one, if the village trustees would approve it, but they weren't sure about this new building. They were gonna put one in the post office. They weren't sure where the new building was gonna go, and then it just kind of got dropped.
So it's the village, incorporated village of Newfane.
It's in the village and it's a state highway, so the town doesn't have.
Right.
The related discussion was about curbing too, and finding out like, are there places where the road can be width can be decreased again?
Chris?
The sidewalks in Williamsville are privately owned. They're not, town has nothing to do with them. I know for a fact, because I own one for a while.
I know back in my hometown, the sidewalks in their town are managed by the private homeowners.
These are on private property. in
You set
Williamsville.
back quite a ways.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the thing is, there is a lot of grants out there for this sidewalk stuff
I know.
right now too. I mean, they're putting out a lot of that, I mean, and that's what I've looked at that, so like you say, in the sidewalks, you look up through it, there's places, guys are parking on, where if it could be brought out closer to the road. I mean, 'cause like I said, I do see where it's all lawn right to the road up there in Williamsville. So people walk in the blacktop instead of thinking they're walking on somebody's lawn. We own 50-foot right of way through there.
Yep.
So I mean, you could always run your sidewalks along the road and then cut across and, so they're not walking on the
Well,
grass.
another thing is,
But wait a minute, please. But if Chris is saying that the owners are responsible for their
So it's set
sidewalk,
back 10 feet.
They aren't responsible for it,
No,
they
they-
just own it.
they own it. Oh, but they're not responsible for maintaining it? That seems weird.
Well, I will say this, I drove up that way today and the traffic between Williamsville and South Newfane is quite calm,
It's quite well.
quite calm.
Yeah.
Today
I drove,
and tomorrow.
Because of the bridge.
Just the
being
road.
closed.
I didn't want to rub that.
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, it was funny, I had somebody pass me. They were flying through Brookside. I purposely set my cruise control, so I was going right at the speed limit, and then they passed me right at the stop sign in South Newfane. I was astounded. They went around me.
yeah,
Yeah, it's gotten on that.
they went through the stop sign?
They went around me at the stop sign in South Newfane.
Do it all the time.
Yeah. So I think that the desire around looking at stop sign placement in Williamsville was this idea that a stop would slow people through there, so that they wouldn't be treating it as a highway. So is there any possibility I can report back to re-looking at the current stop signs where they are in Williamsville? On those two spots?
Chris?
I don't think you need them there.
What
I
was that?
really don't. You have a stop sign at Grimes Hill that absolutely nobody stops at. They drive through it. The yield sign for the cement bridge, blow right through it. Every other time I go through there, somebody's going through, one way or the other. They don't pay any attention to those signs.
what did the planning, have you met with the planning?
So they were all there at this meeting, and this was, the idea was that we have these longer term vision goals
Yeah.
about looking at village development and even maybe some grants for developing sidewalks and things, but also there were some immediate things that the group came up with. And one of them was, a number of people in Williamsville, I guess, have been asking about the stop sign. Because I guess there's been some incidents, they're saying that it's even parents who are dropping kids off at Timpson Hill are rounding that corner. That's what they're saying. And people, and like you said, they are flying through.
Some of the offenders in Williamsville are people that live in Williamsville and they don't pay any attention, they just go like they want to go.
The offenders along the whole Dover Road, and I think it's probably partially true in Newfane too, are a big percentage of our neighbors. And I think it's this bigger issue, and that's maybe the hope of a potluck.
Yeah,
So
You know,
I was just gonna say.
And more
that,
articles and more collaboration and more discussions that we're continuing to.
What, do you know, what time you're thinking of having that potluck, and how are you going to advertise it?
So the planning commission, they were gonna do it after, I guess, in the evening, after the play is over. I think it's open from 4:30 on. So the planning commission was going to sponsor it. And they've already, Annie had checked to see if Williamsville Hall was open. It is after the play is over.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Sunday,
A Sunday?
October
After- So they're having
a play.
matinee?
Yeah, so after the matinee.
Okay.
So the exact time I need to get back to you on. And I think
Yeah.
the planning commission would send all that out.
Gary, excuse me.
I want to congratulate the group for starting to work on this. It's a difficult project. It's going to take us some time. I think that for most of us, it's interesting to hear some of the requests now, but I think that really what we need to hear is a complete plan. So that we can address all the things that need to be done in the way that the people who live in Williamsville, South Newfane, and Brookside feel is going to meet their needs. So we can take our part to the state where we're going to need special approvals and that sort of thing to make sure that it's done right. So, to say we put stop signs up, I don't know. I think we need to see what else goes along with it.
There was a discussion though about small victories. I mean, that the group was saying we want to keep working with the select board on an ongoing basis, but there was this idea of people will feel heartened if there's some small victories, small changes happening over time, because there's a feeling, and Annie brought this up, that this has been an old issue that's been going on for many years, and she talked about having a file folder this big, and I do remember 16 years ago going to a meeting in Williamsville Hall about this. So there's this frustration that nothing's past select boards or past groups haven't acted. You know,
But we did-
and we've talked about how the current select board has been very supportive of this issue.
No, but we
Yeah.
did speak to Andy about that
Yeah.
at the meeting here, and there was a commitment to work on this. Shannon?
I just have a question for Jen. Has Williamsville considered the village signs much like what I just got?
Yeah, supposedly, so Andy's gonna talk to the group about the signs. She's got an email going out to the group about a design.
Okay.
So,
Because I think that could be a small thing for you.
yeah, I think that's, and I totally get what you're saying. There has to be a plan so you can go to the state once to ask
Yes.
a variety
Look
of
at the-
questions.
So we don't need them for that.
Right, so what are the things that we don't need state approval for?
Yeah, I think that would be a really good start.
That and also looking at grants that can support the funding of that project.
Because we know that all that area is going to be torn up in the next couple of years when they replace the bridge. There already have been approved sign plan in place from that the state came up with. So we just need to see how will this impact that? How can it all be joined together? How can it improve the village center of those three villages
Yeah.
to have these things in place?
But we did vote on a meeting one night here to have Jay and Christopher and him look at removing that sod for like a walkway up the side.
Yep.
Going where the sidewalk does now, crossing over and taking that side off up through, well, what's his name's?
John Julian?
The fences and stuff.
Prosper Walter Phelps.
Yeah.
I tell you one thing, that won't go over good.
Well, I mean, they're the one, everybody's looking for a fix. I mean, and like I said, half the problem I noticed over there, they got grass right to the blacktop. So everybody don't want to walk on somebody's lawn, which the lawn is, we own 50 feet. So we
Right.
own
Can claim
12 feet or so from each side of that blacktop out, you know, as a right of way. We got a 50-foot right of way up to there. You got a 20-foot or 22-foot road. So you own the right of way. And everybody's coming to us wanting to see a fix. Like I said, the people that walk up through there, they go swimming or whatever else, they don't walk on the grass, they think that's somebody's lawn. So they're walking up the blacktop, and then a car comes down through, it might be going 30 miles an hour, and they think they're flying.
Yeah,
And I think, you know, some of the times, like I said one other time, 25 mile an hour is pretty damn slow. And I see that somebody else had that as a comment out somewhere else. They thought it should be raised to the 30 mile an hour zone, because, I'm not saying so much Williamsville, but it's somewhere else they're talking about this whole thing. Because, you know, you're slowing down 25, then you go to a 35, and then you get 40, and then 50 or whatever. So they all just keep climbing. I think Williamsville is gonna be a little easier to fix as speed control than up where you're living. Because they come off that hill from Adams Hill from Dover, they think they're in a 50 mile an hour zone, you know?
but I also noticed what you're talking about, they did in Brattleboro, by the marina. And there were all these people walking up and down that busy
They widen the
road.
shoulders out.
And they widened it out and they put some dirt or something down to allow for that area for people to walk in. But so doing even simple things like that will start to make it so, and then we can see how they walk on it. If it's gonna be walkable, you know, it's the first planning, you know, how people are gonna move around that village.
And walkability was something we talked about, like, you know, traffic calming is a word that often gets everybody very riled up, but walkability is a proactive term. It's very solution oriented, and when you're looking at
Yeah,
walkability.
and it's less costly. We can kind of just, you know, if we made a pass through on our right of way and identified it with.
Then you identify a crosswalk that comes back to the other side.
Yeah.
You try it that way, you're not pouring cement, you're not doing
Right,
nothing. you know?
right. Lines.
Like I said, I
lines
mean,
across.
that's why I said when Andy was here, go back and ask all the neighbors, they don't mind taking that sod up and putting down a sidewalk. But we did vote to have Jay and everybody look at it, remember? They want the meetings one night.
And a crosswalk doesn't need state approval, right?
Excuse me?
A crosswalk doesn't need state approval, the way a stop sign.
We
I
gotta
don't
find
know,
that
I
out.
remember
I'm
that
not sure
with the
because
town.
it's federal highway,
Yeah.
if we need to, I would at least want to check with them first, but it's a possibility.
Can I just say something about the crosswalks? Because I lived in the incorporated village of Newfane, and we had to repaint our crosswalks on West Street and also down by the church.
Yep.
And we have to, the town, I mean, the incorporated village had to pay for this. So there is money, and that's another question I have, because other people have mentioned it too. That, for example, the incorporated village of Newfane pays the sheriff's office to have their sheriff's cars in town to stop people and give them tickets if they're speeding.
Put a crosswalk in, that's-
And have you talked about that and or brought it up at all, that maybe the town, the village of Williamsville could get together and pay to have police cars there? Because we talked about that, that really does make a difference.
I don't know what the
I don't know
difference.
how it works, but that's what goes on here.
They're not incorporated.
No, I know, but can they just offer, as a community, can they get together like at your potluck and say, you know what, as residents here, we'd like to try it for a while, each person could donate X amount of money and just try having a sheriff's car there.
No, we've
once
got
in a
the
while.
state police hired anyways.
Yeah, we do have the state police, and it may be possible just to extend their contract to cover that extra area.
We never see them.
And I haven't even asked them to go there, they're just.
Well, I'm just saying that what's happening with the
I see
incorporated
him quite a bit on the
village of Newfane, and if something could happen with the residents of Williamsville, just for a test, maybe sign up for a month and split the cost and see if it makes a difference.
I think so, that should definitely go on the list of ideas. I think, again, the long-term view of like, what are the physical things that aren't dependent on paying a police officer and them happening to be there, but what are the physical changes that could happen along the roadways in the village that would cue people to slow down? And that's what, Bud was talking about with the architectural approach. The maybe narrow or streets in certain places. He was even talking about studies where there was a change in the color of the asphalt that have slowed people down that cities have been using, where you darken the asphalt in the area where you want to.
How does that work at night?
Well, obviously it's that's a daytime thing, but most of the walking issues are during the day. But there's a number of architectural approaches that don't require a police officer handing out tickets that get people to slow down. So
Yeah, I don't like
crosswalks,
that
stop
either.
signs, sidewalks.
You don't. Okay.
Not the whole ticket thing.
What was
for the
that?
resident.
What was that?
I don't like the whole ticket idea.
I think a lot of people get very upset about the ticket idea. That's what I saw online on the front porch.
They get upset when somebody gets a ticket?
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, people don't like it right here, even too. I mean, I've heard it from a lot of out-of-staters wanting to
Well-
go through the damn town.
Yeah.
You know what?
They go
If you-
around because it's like a death trap. I mean, nothing I hate any worse when I go on vacation or I drive somewhere and I get a ticket too, I mean, it's all
Don't be
times you're not
driving
thinking.
fast.
But isn't that part of it? If you have rules and regulations, either you go 30 miles an hour or you're in jeopardy of getting a ticket.
Well, one thing that-
Nobody loves getting a ticket.
Well, I don't think you need a police
I think
car sitting
most
constantly.
people-
They can write you up for anything. They'll write you up for 5 miles an hour over the damn limit.
One
Jay,
thing Charles suggested
Wait,
was.
I'm sorry. Jay, I'd like to too.
I just wondered how you guys felt about paint, where we have the existing stop sign coming off Grimes Hill, putting the painted stop line down, maybe make it more noticeable. And then that yield doesn't work very well coming from the other direction. I know that changes with the new bridge, but I wonder if we should consider doing the same thing over there, so maybe people at least see something in the road that's, oh, I guess I'm supposed to look, or
Well, it's just like right here in 30 or two when you came in right here when the speed dropped down. Remember they had them like lines that
Right.
went like that, and people notice that, and then they slow it down by the time you get to the
Yeah.
other side.
Right.
I mean, I think probably she's saying a little bit of paint here and there would probably make a difference on some things, especially up at your end.
I think one thing that a lot of the people who live in Newfane, the village, as well as the unincorporated people who live around the village too, is that so many times the speed trap is set up right in the middle of town. And, you know, it's the village, but they're stopping traffic, everybody going through, regardless of where they're going. And that looks bad on the town, I think, because people think, no, I don't want to stop. I'm just going to stop the stores and do things. You know, they got all the speed traps. I'm not going to give them any more money. So and I'd like to see a way to manage traffic without having to put up physical speed traps with officers in the street in front of our major buildings right in the center of the town. I even saw recently, because I go back and forth to Stratton every day, and one day, I don't know, it must be a new officer, but I didn't see any car, and I noticed that there's a person standing behind this tree. And as I went by, he was a sheriff's deputy shooting cars as he went by. And I'm like, no ID, no nothing. And I thought, this will be interesting. If he tagged me and sends me a letter, I'm going to be very happy to talk to the judge, because you can't hide. You've got to be there, and you've got to be identified, showing what you're doing. Hiding is not, the courts have not held that to be legal. So
Don't they hide all the time on the highways?
they hide on the highway to turn your car.
Yes,
They're identified.
right.
When you're standing behind a tree and you have no car,
And you're not identified.
you're not identified.
Then they weren't in uniform or anything?
No.
Oh, well, that's something totally
It-
scary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know in Pennsylvania, they used to have a state trooper drove by in a little, a red wig, and she had on a little shawl over her shoulders. And
I think you're anxious to, you have to
Well,
leave.
can I make a motion that we actually paint some lines on the roadway at the stop signs? To start making some sort of motion
And who's
movement
paying
on
that?
this?
What's that?
The town.
I said, who is paying for that?
So,
The town.
And then the second plan would be to actually dig off the side of the roads to make a walking area.
well, I think we should go up and look at that, and then talk to the landowners there to let them know what's going on.
Yeah, but if we owned X amount of feet away
Right.
from the center,
But still, have to pay just to talk to them up front, you know.
That would be a great thing to bring to that October 14th meeting, like what you found. And what
I think that would have to be talked about
okay,
with the
so the
residents.
first step we could do is
Sidewalks are
paint,
different from highway though.
It's a highway.
They're different. A sidewalk is different. The town has a right of way, X number of feet. But if we decide we want to use some of that for a sidewalk, I think you may run into some trouble.
That's why you have to find out. We can't
well,
just make a
let's have Jay take a look at it. From the center line, what area, how much area into the grass, I guess, so it would go?
Shoulder work, so we could do something like that, have a 2-foot shoulder.
again, I can only reiterate, this is better if we see a whole plan of things that we can implement. We can budget for them, we can implement them, and we can measure whether or not traffic is slowed down or not. But to do them willy-nilly, try this for a while, try that for a while, is probably not going to be in the best interest of anybody.
Yeah.
And I know where you're trying to go. We're looking for safety and for better livability.
my
But
thought
again,
is-
we want to see a plan.
But my thought is if you can just put some yellow paint down on some stop signs, how expensive is that?
It's not a, ba-
I'll get a price for
And,
it.
and that's what the group's asking for. I hear what you're saying about the big plan. We
Yep.
definitely have a big vision, but we also, I think the group's really looking to see action on small things, if possible, the things like these, and looking at the road. And even if you were to look at that and we were to talk about it October 14th, it'd be a great time to ask the
yeah, why
landowner.
can't we wait till October 14th when they have their big meeting? Since you're, to start with this, because I don't know. Chris, it seems like you have some concerns. I don't know, Jay?
In the meantime, I'll get a price on what it costs to have the line up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, you get all that Bill of Joyce or something.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
I was
what
just- I'm just gonna say that.
Okay. So you had made a motion, but it wasn't seconded anyway. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So then we can go with just starting with Jay and Chris looking into what it might cost and where to put it.
So you're gonna consider those areas by the turn off
what you
on the
wanted
bridge,
anyway,
by
right?
the post office and by the eatery as far as lines? Or-
I think for now, just do the existing stop sign. And that, and I'll just get a price on how much they are and then we'll go.
Okay.
And Jen, what I'd ask for you to do, and thank you very much for working with the Planning Commission and with Bud. I would like to see an outline or an agenda put together for your meeting so we all know what you're going to be discussing. This way, the select board can work with you in doing research, you know, so when the time that you meet again for planning this date on October 14th, if you could start making a little list or official things that you want discussed.
And I would highly recommend a landscape architect, you know, for planning.
And I think that's what Bud was gonna get somebody to do some measurements.
Okay, because I know somebody too.
Yeah, okay. Great. Thank you for giving us the time. So we'll work
Thank you.
on some lists and
Okay.
thank you, Jay.
Thanks for coming. Thank you. Jen.
Thank you for,
I have to say, Jane, that my husband and I were driving on Dover Road. I rarely go there, but we were coming home from the Catskills the other day. We had a 2-day break, and I saw the signs, and I'm saying, oh my God, they're the Brookside. It was so great. So congratulations,
thank
you got that
you. We
done.
really appreciate your support around that. And then Jay and the road crews work on putting the new signs we got from the grant has made a difference too. So we appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Take care.
Okay.
Just, it's a road.
Okay, so yes, I know. Thank you for being patient. Next item is, go ahead.
My name's Alex Beck. I'm from the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation and SeVEDS. It's great seeing you all again. Thanks for having us. I'm here with my colleague Sarah Lane. I'm going to walk you through what's in your little folders. There's a lot of stuff in here to look over later. You'll see an annual report. That's last year's annual report. We're going to be releasing another one this year, which you'll all receive. There is a pamphlet for our small business loan, the Southern Vermont Micro Entrepreneur Loan Fund. So all the stuff we normally kind of say at you, we have some nice materials for you to look at. Again, low interest loans for small and medium-sized businesses to grow. You can always reach out to RT Brown. His contact information's in here. Send people his way. Chances are there's going to be something that fits for them, whether it's just workshops, business planning, or funding. There, we have the flyer for our internship program, which we've spoken about in the past. We're still hosting interns all throughout the county. And our placement is, I think we're up to 90 since the program started, so on pace, definitely good. Keeping track over time. And about 20% of those end up in hires. So if you have a college student coming home for the winter or for the summer, or if you know someone who's currently enrolled in classes, they can reach out to Kristen and she can help find opportunities for them. She's also starting to do a lot of work with some entry-level roles, so that's the other thing. She may be able to help with someone who's right out of school. She can help find those opportunities as well.
Can I just ask a question as far as the paid internships? Are you paying for these interns?
The employers pay.
Okay. The
So
employers
that's,
pay.
we meet with the employers ahead of time to make sure they can provide both an educational opportunity, of course, but also a real wage, so that it's a working solution for working students. And a number of businesses in the area throughout the county, but I know W&W has always been a great sponsor. We're excited to see their plans for this area as well, because they'll be adding space and jobs, and that's nice. One thing that I really spoke a lot about over the last few years is our work with Leland and Gray. A great example of what your investment and other towns' investments do is last year we were able to put a lot of time towards grant writing. So last year I spent around a day a month with the students in Leland and Gray, but because of some grant writing and some of our own more fundraising that you've all supported, we'll have someone in there 1 day a week. She is a Wilmington native, moved to Boston to do workforce training, and she's moving back and will spend 1 day a week in all of the 4 high schools.
That's great.
And she's an educator, so as you know, I led the field trips, we did some great activities, but I am not an educator, so we're really proud to be able to say that there's someone who understands the jobs and understands the schools really well. They'll be there once a week again. We're having a launch for that event at the end of September, and you will all receive an invitation. It'll be at Leland and Gray, because again, they have been a really great partner. So they're leading the way in this initiative in a lot of ways. So we chose Leland and Gray to host the big kickoff for the event. So you'll hear more about that. I think Sarah has a few other.
Yeah, so there's a few other things in your folder. One is some of the upcoming events for the young professionals. Started in June, but goes through December. We've got those planned out. You also have a town bulletin. I believe you guys have been getting these from us once every couple months that sort of gives updates on some of our programs. This one, which I just put in the mail today, so you'll be getting it in a day or two, has all of our public input sessions for the next round of the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. So currently Wyndham Region has a SeVEDS, and that's something that you have to renew every 5 years. And so in this renewal process, we are collaborating with Bennington County. And so that plan will be finalized in 2019, but we had 1 round of public input sessions in June. We'll have another round in September and another round in November for that plan that's going to come out in 2019.
And you'll see more outreach on that. That's kind of the secret sauce, if you will. The public input really defines what we work on for the next 5 years. So that's a really great time to participate.
Right. Yep. And one of the other projects I manage is the Southern Vermont Economy Project. I'm not sure if any of you last year attended. We put on a connectivity summit in Dover to talk about sort of broadband and cell service in Southern Vermont. We're going to do that again. You guys should have gotten a letter and a survey. Just got it. Okay, great. She'll share that with you. Essentially, what we want to do is just find out what each town in Wyndham and Bennington regions are dealing with as far as their connectivity, in order to provide a dynamic summit where we can get some actionable items out of it, instead of just giving you guys information, which a lot of you already have the information that we have. So we really want to be able to provide, if it's something you want, something more workshop-y or some kind of bigger conversation and collaboration. We want to hear from you guys what it is that you want, so we can give that to you.
So my question is what have you done for Newfane specifically?
BUCC and SeVEDS?
Yes.
Sure. So as I mentioned, we are supporting. Josh Druk sits on the SeVEDS board. We're really keeping track of his progress and his investments, making sure that everything from any support he needs and actually figuring out how to expand he has access to, but also how is the Career Center's construction trades program, and how does the regional workforce look like when projects like his will be built. So in terms of our specific work in Newfane, I can't I say off the top of my head which businesses we directly work with other than W&W. But a lot of our focus, especially of the funding support that we ask for, is in our workforce. So when we come and ask for support from towns, it is it's mostly put towards the high school programming, and again, those services that our team provides. So again, anyone in Newfane can approach him to ask for support for the business, for the business support services.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why we have this brochure is that it doesn't help if no one from Newfane knows about it. And so that's really how we're really trying to honor that part of the investment that towns have been made, is finding new and better ways to ensure that they're aware of the services that are free to them, whether you support them or not. It's really how we find time in the day to find the staffing to offer these services. And again, with the high school program, there'll be a good example of what this is right now there are co-op students at Leon and Gray who sign up to work in the community. Some of them work at Grace Cottage, some of them at Big Picture Farm, some of them at auto mechanic places. It really runs a gamut. They receive pretty restricted credit. They receive a co-op credit, but we know that students may be learning math, learning geometry if they're looking at blueprints, engaged in field science and biology if they're working in an agricultural setting. So this person will be able to look at students who are both working and in the classroom and say, how do we value all these experiences equally, so that students who are saying, my goal is to manage W&W one day, that is as clear a pathway to that student. At the freshman year, again, we're saying how the paths look as someone who says, I want to go to medical school. Because there needs to be an option for all students, and we're really working to support that. So that's part. Go ahead.
Sorry. Do you work with Kindle Farm also?
We don't yet. So we are always looking for more ways to engage with other school systems and schools. What we do, especially with populations that have barriers to employment, or students with learning differences, we make sure that the curricula or the data that we're collecting about where skills need to be invested are shared. So we work closely with vocational rehab, and they do a lot of those employment placements. The stuff that we know, we share, but we also don't have experience working with certain populations. The internship program at Landmark College is a really great example of it requires more collaboration with a different set of skills than more often than we place students. So we're always looking to expand.
Do you know of Newfane, a new group?
I'm not familiar.
Oh, because I'm wearing their shirt,
Okay.
and it's about economic
No, you have to
development
stand up.
businesses.
They're sitting in the back of your chair.
Newfane and new.
Yeah, so they're a group of people who are trying to renew Newfane, not necessarily a business group, but they've been around for a couple of years now. And, it's all about economic development on the way I look at Newfane. And they're doing festivals and different community events and things like that. But it would be nice that if your organization could host an event in Newfane. I know a lot of people like Newfane from around the area, but getting some younger families, I've talked about having affordable housing here in Newfane and working towards that. But we have 4 columns, we have the Fat Crow opening up. We have some great places here in town that you could host, cocktail hour or whatever. And they host concerts. There's one coming up. I think it's on this Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
It's the final concert. So that would be a great way to get out and meet some of the community members.
Absolutely, yeah. So please send us any of those opportunities and events, because we'll also include things in our newsletter. I think that's we want it to be as two-way a street as possible with what's happening. It's why we make these visits, and so we'll definitely look into that.
Yeah.
Well, you've grown a lot since we first met you. a
In-
few
in
years
height?
ago.
No,
No, that hasn't happened, but I do like the white suit.
No, seriously, it's really great. It's very lovely to
Well,
see.
that's- the first year they were here,
Yeah.
kept all you really talked about was the colleges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the community college, and that's what I said that night there. I said, you guys gotta start looking at the high school, and I'm glad you've done that.
Yeah.
We've done that for the last couple of years, 3 years, we've talked about it. I'm glad you're doing that, and I said, it's just like the whole thing with the kids, they're doing this intern stuff and stuff like that. I mean, one of the problems I see with our high school is, I'd like to see them freshmen go to the career centers. Because a
Right.
lot of these kids, you know, they're not going off to college, but they gotta learn some sort of trades, and,
Yeah.
and it's good that you guys are going around, and then we're doing this internship at the school, where these kids are coming out and working with different people
Right.
on jobs.
I
because-
met with this gentleman here about doing what we had talked about and keeping some career schooling in the area here versus sending him down to Brattleboro and creating our own little career center here in the valley. And what we've talked about is the transportation is a big issue for even young kids or even retraining adults for new jobs. And having something that's here in the valley will be so much more beneficial for us in the valley than to have to go down to Brattleboro. And they're really starting to root into Leland and Gray with their internships with the kids.
Yeah, and so that's this new person who will be working in each school, a day a week. That's exactly what her role is to see what about the communities where these students come from, what can they learn in the community, so that they don't need to leave to learn that. So whether it is for higher education or for the career center, some things you have to go to the career center for. I don't know if there's a CNC training program here, but auto mechanic and auto tech is something students can learn locally.
Yeah.
And they can access the education at the career center part of the time, and then this person will be working with both placements and students to say, okay, I know you just want to work on your car, but what are we learning here? And if you can articulate what you're learning, then you don't need to leave the community.
Right.
And so that's a lot of the investment we're making.
I would really suggest that you do get in contact with Kindle Farm at one
Okay.
point, because they do a lot of things like that with their students. They have a farm, they have a farm stand,
Yep.
they build things. They are trained in a lot of different areas, and I think it's a great resource for you and them if you would meet and talk.
Absolutely.
I know that while we may not have seen, or you may not have seen anything directly from SeVEDS in Newfane, we get a spinoff all the time from various SeVEDS projects. For example, Luke Stafford, he lives here, his business is located in Brattleboro, but many of his programmers and staff live in Newfane,
Right.
and he sits on the school board here. So while we may not have the bricks and mortar, we do get the benefit of having the people.
Oh, I think definitely, but we also would like to have
We
them
want
come
to
here
have
for
the-
some events.
We want to have events going on here, yes. And actually, we'd like to see more hard dollar events, like businesses funded in this area.
Yeah,
That'd be terrific. And I know that's the goal you're going for, and I think you're getting there.
yes.
Because when I look through the annual report, there's an awful lot of business names that I recognize that began through you.
So this is a fantastic segue. So you may have noticed that you got our funding request letter early this year.
I read it
Good for you.
I read it last time, the whole thing, out
Thank
loud.
And so the reason why we're doing it earlier is so that we have that opportunity to have these conversations for longer periods of time.
Yep.
Normally when we're here, it is dark already. And not as many community events happen around that time of year when we're normally out petitioning. And so, we'd love for you to consider the ask now, but I think, we really like the relationship that we've had with Newfane because it has been a growing relationship in the way that you said that I think we've really risen to the challenges that you've made to us, and I hope that we're provided the opportunity to do that again.
I
And
think
so,
you're doing a wonderful job.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you
Needed.
very much.
and there's, again, I'm, in earnest, send us information about Newfane Cares, what's, Newfane Anew.
I'll send you an email.
Great. Yeah, because I'm sure, RT would love to come out and either network or we could do a young professionals meeting.
Yes, that
There
would be
are
great.
Opportunities about.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Of course,
Thanks so much.
thanks for having us.
And for being here before, for all dusting snow off our coats.
Yeah.
Have a good evening. Drive
Thank
safely.
you.
Sorry you had to wait so long.
That's all right, it's part of the job.
Okay. Do we have any correspondence tonight, Shannon? Yeah. Want to get it?
Yeah, I think it's a good, they've gotten to a point where they're,
I get it.
got it together.
It takes a
you
long
haven't.
time for a regional economic development with
Thank you.
any impact at all. And they're really making it.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
I mean, our guests love Green Mountain Creamery. They swear by their yogurt. They go wild over it. And we have to take a net and put over them, tie them up.
So this is part of SeVEDS.
Yeah, that's what she was saying. It's a questionnaire.
Right.
So we all got one, but it's just meant for the town to respond to?
That came in the mail. I don't think we said.
I don't think we, I don't have, I do.
Yeah, no, just one came in the mail.
Okay, this is for the broadband?
And they're only looking for one response from the town.
Okay.
From the town, okay.
So what is this in terms of correspondence?
It's just asking me to fill it out. But if you would like the administrative assistant to fill it out.
I would love that. I would be so happy. Okay. So this is the Southern Vermont Economy Project.
Yes.
And
due
it's a
for
questionnaire that will be filled out by our administrative assistant who has so kindly offered to do this. Thank you.
Can I ask a question as far as what was the request that they asked of us?
They're requesting level funding of 5178,
How much was that?
5,178.
First year they came, we denied it.
Yeah, because it didn't.
Because
Right,
like I said,
right.
all I really talked about was the model college. and
Yeah.
all that. And so then that's why we said that year there, you ought to be looking at the high schools, and then we started doing more of that. I mean, I think it's great. I just wish, like I said, the career center down here would take these kids at ninth grade. So we until they're 10th and 11th or 11th and 12th, whatever it is, because a lot of kids ain't interested in the schoolwork. They need to be hands-on.
Right, so
Absolutely.
they're doing internships with these young
Right.
kids in local businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, versus shipping them down there.
Yeah, I had one of the kids call me about that and stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Bunch of the businesses said, now that's what I said, they're lucky because they got the hospital and the dentist
Right.
and
There's a lot
lawyers'
of-
offices, they got, excavating crews, they got plumbers, electricians, so there's a lot of different,
Uh-huh.
even without having a trade center,
Right.
there's a lot of trades that they can put these kids in that can learn a little bit about it.
Those are the kids who will stay here, build families, start businesses, make their home here, and stay here for the rest of their
A
life.
lot of kids ain't going off to college.
No,
Right.
And
no.
they gotta be able to come out of high school and they'll make $30,000 or $50,000,
Yep.
And if they learn some of these trades, they will.
Oh, yeah, the trades are like making the money, whereas you go to college and you're burdened with all this debt and you can't find a job.
Yeah, half the guys that go to college don't go to work for what they went for.
Yeah,
More than half.
yeah.
Okay.
It's getting
I
cool.
think
in here.
we are almost ready for pay orders, unless there's any more discussion about.
I thought we had correspondence.
That was
That
it.
was it.
The
Oh.
questionnaire was it.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
it.
So,
Oh, I
everybody have a good few weeks
I have one more
remaining of
thing.
this.
Sorry, I have one more thing. Should have been part of my administrative assistant's report, but it wasn't in there. I did speak with Rich Carroll about the fire department's question of whether the town would rather have the assets for them to sell off, or whether they would rather have the fire department sell them off and give the town the money. And his opinion was that it's much cleaner for the fire department to just offer assets and then give the money to the town. So it's completely up to you, there's no right or wrong answer. But the cleaner way for the town is to just take whatever money is left after they dissolve their assets.
Where are we at that? Where are they at?
I don't know. The last time we spoke, they asked, you know, for you to confer with the attorney about what's preferable.
Okay.
So, I don't know where they're at.
Okay.
That was his advice, like you said, there's really no
That
right or
sounds-
wrong.
Is this something we have to vote on soon?
I mean, they haven't come back, so I don't really know what that. I just remembered I needed to tell you.
Or? Okay, thank you. So now, are we ready for pay orders?
Take the money and run.
Yes, we are. So have a good evening, everybody, and good next several weeks, and happy Labor Day is coming up. So be safe and drive carefully.